Welcome to the Urban Outcast, everyone. Again, I am your host, the Outcast, Mark Urban. All right, so today we're going to kind of jump into, again, of course, what's going on in Bellingham with the homeless crisis. And been lots of different things going on with that and lots of changes. And I got somebody here today who's actually intimately acquainted and involved with working with the homeless, volunteering. And he's a guy who's got, a good perspective. He's kind of in the middle as far as there's lots of different opinions about homeless. There's the sect that's like, well, they made their choice. They're going to have to deal with it. And there's the other side that's, we got to help them. And Jeffrey is kind of in the middle here. So I thought it'd be a good idea to kind of touch base and interview him and talk about some of what he's been doing and just the volunteer work and what he sees out there that maybe we don't see and the perspective that he has that maybe we don't have. So anyway, without further ado, good friend of mine and co-producer, Jeffery Holmes.
Hey, thanks for having me today.
Welcome, bud. How's it going?
Oh, man, I am tired today.
Yeah, you've been a busy guy. You got lots going on.
Yeah, no, definitely. With the remodel and the business and just life in general, it has been a hell of a week.
Yeah, you're definitely on the go. You got a lot of irons in the fire.
Well, I mean, if I'm not doing too much, I'm not doing enough. That's what my motto is.
It keeps you out of trouble. Although trouble seems to still find me. I don't know.
No. I mean, that's just life.
That's the T-shirt I need. I have a friend that's making me T-shirts that something, trouble finds me wherever I go.
It's more like
Micah?
If you're not in trouble, you're not doing it right.
If you're not in trouble, you're not doing it right. I like that one too. Yeah. Yeah. So, let's jump into this, man. So you're a local business owner. Tell us a little bit about one of your businesses. Your main.
We own Kalamaka Ink Tattoo. I've been a tattoo artist for the last 10 years. I am a pretty much lifelong, I've lived in Bellingham pretty much my entire life.
Lifelong resident.
Yep, lifelong resident. And, it's been interesting. I've definitely seen a lot of changes over the years from when I grew up around here and everything. So it kind of gives me a perspective of the way things have gone and definitely define some opinions about the way that they've gone.
Well, and tell me a little bit about how you feel about that and what you've seen since you grew up around here and kind of where things have gone in just, well, I would say definitely the last 3 years.
It's actually been about the last 10 years. It started off slow. It's just been accelerating over the last 3 years, I've noticed.
Yeah, that's a good point.
When I grew up, I mean, we were 80s kids, the traditional Gen X and, you found your friends by looking for the big pile of bicycles in front of their house. And if you couldn't get them on the phone because everybody had landlines, you just had to ride from house to house to house to figure it out. And then you had to hit the parks.
I remember that.
The
good old days. You just brought me back, bro. That's a good analogy. I like that.
Yeah, I mean, but the streets were safe. And I don't...
Your mom and dad would say, "Be home by dark," right?
Oh yeah, no. You got
dinner.
You got home before street lights, or you were in trouble. And mom wasn't waiting for you at the house when you got home. You let yourself in the house, and you had about 3 hours to get your homework done and screw off before she got home. But you had to make sure that homework was done. And Saturday you got until noon for cartoons. And then you were hucked out of the house.
Yeah. Now they don't want to let you out of the house.
Yeah, you know what?
Without a bodyguard.
Yeah. And in some ways I don't blame them. In the other ways I do. Because if you look at our childhoods logically, none of us should have survived.
I know, right?
Like
a bike helmet? What's that?
Yeah, a bike helmet and
a ramp. And your three of your friends laying in front of it.
Yeah, exactly. And nobody ever made that jump. Like the last guy or two guys always got hurt. But, at the same time, we were too scared to tell our parents.
I was never the last guy. Yeah. I'm like, no, hell no, I ain't going to be it.
No, and then you had to lie, steat, and shield to get that first position because you knew what was going to happen to the last two guys.
Oh, yeah, yeah. Well, we kept doing it.
Yeah, and then it was like, oh my gosh, 2 people were severely hurt.
Oh, and then remember when fireworks season came around, 4th of July?
Man.
Then we'd have to light some like sparklers around it, like, and like maybe some of those snakes. You'd put those on the ramp and you'd, like it was a fireworks show, like Evil Knievel going over the ramp.
But you only had so much time, so literally people had to be there right up to the point you hit that ramp.
Oh, yeah.
Lighting those things.
And somebody always got burned or held onto a firecracker a little too long.
Oh, man. Like the fact that I have fingers, all of them intact, is absolutely insane to me.
Some of the stuff. Now we're on a rabbit trail, but that's a good rabbit trail because I'm bringing back memories that make me happy, dude. I makes me happy to think of how I got hurt as a kid.
Oh yeah, and
it literally brings joy to remember the lady fingers that I would hold on to too long because we were having lady finger fights.
Yeah,
throwing them at each other, and the best yet though was Bottle Rocket War or Bottle Rocket Wars,
the Roman Candle
Wars.
Yep.
Oh my gosh, Roman candles were like you literally had a weapon, like. And we get the ones that report.
Yep.
And so, pap. And I remember pinning one of my buddies down against this wall one time. He had nowhere to go. He's like, he's trying to light his. And I'm just sitting here lighting him up. Pap, hitting him in the butt. He's like, oh, shit. Ow, ow. He's trying to light his to get back at me. God, those were the good old days.
And like people go, well, if you look at that logically, it's like, okay, that is irresponsible parenting. And like by today's standards, you're like, okay, these are all things that you should not allow your kids to do.
Oh,
but
my parents didn't know.
I know. Well, no.
We went to the kids' house whose parents weren't around with all our illegal fireworks.
Yep. Oh, yeah.
And that's where we did it. And nobody knew. And it's lucky somebody didn't get their eye, shot out.
Oh, yeah. No, I mean, but it really did build a different type of skill set. Yeah, I mean,
new type of skill set. Yeah.
But it does, like, because I mean, try killing a Gen X right now. Like, just saying, like, what are you gonna do to us? I mean, nothing.
Nowadays, you just give them some peanuts.
Yeah, no,
they're done.
Yeah, like send
peanuts or some lactose milk,
some peanut butter, and they end the world. Like it's apocalypse day. But
no offense to parents who have kids with peanut allergies. Send me the mail. But it is different.
Yeah, but I'll tell you what. Think about this. How many homeless did you remember seeing back then?
Man, that is a good point. They were rare. We called them hobos.
Yep, they were.
Or transients.
They were transient. Yeah, they would never stay in the same place.
Never stay in the same place. They had their life. That's what they did. Now, and that's kind of ties into my issue and I'm going to jump back and forth a little bit on this, is that they've made it into a career almost in some cases.
Yep, absolutely.
In some cases, I watched a John Stossel special about, it's been this is over 10 years ago now, where he dresses up as a homeless guy. The first day he sits there with a sign, says, whatever, I need help, whatever. He made about $50. Second day, he made about $150. By the third day, he had made over $200. Moving in these several spots he would go to.
Yep.
Just panhandling on the street.
Yep.
Then he interviewed a few other people who were, quote unquote, supposedly homeless. This one woman had a sign that says, I don't know, my boyfriend left me here.
My 35 kids and me are homeless.
No, this one was, my boyfriend left me.
Yeah.
And I need gas money or plane ticket to get home. Well, he followed her. She lived 2 blocks away at a house down the street.
Yeah.
It's like the fleecing of America is what it was called. You can probably still look it up. And, now we've gotten, there's a little bit of a nuance to it now where it's changed in that I think drugs have really entered in to play. Would you agree?
Very, very much so.
Open border policy.
Yeah.
Sanctuary policy.
Yeah.
All these absolutely.
I'm sorry. Who thought that was a good idea? Like,
well, I'm sorry. I'm not trying to be political here, but it wasn't the right.
Yeah.
It was definitely the bleeding heart liberals that are, well, we want them. Well, no, you don't. You want the votes. You want the votes. Let's not lie. Let's not sugarcoat it. Maybe some of you in between that are just standard Democrats, you vote for it. You don't really know what you're voting for. But I guarantee you, the upper power structure within the DNC wants the votes. They're doing it in New York right now. They're trying to make it so illegal aliens can vote. Okay.
Yeah.
And then you've got the right.
And I called this. I called this when I saw the border crisis. I'm like, They're doing this so they can try to get these votes because they do not have them in the U.S. It's just
it's disingenuous to say no, they're not. Stop.
Yeah,
but on the other hand,
and then all of a sudden you're like, they would never push legislation like that. Now that they're doing it, they're like, oh, but that wasn't their plan all along. Like, really?
Yeah, I know. There's always an excuse. There's always an excuse to cover the other lie, a lie to cover a lie. And look, I'll tie into Tyson Foods real quick. Since we're on a rabbit hole, you just heard
I think
recently.
Mike Tyson.
We can get into that too. Jake Paul or Mike Tyson,
buddy,
folks.
Yeah, that's a murder about to happen.
We'll get back to that. Well, some people think it could murder either way, but I'll tell you. Look, come on.
It's Iron Mike Tyson, man. He decimated people that would scare me.
But he's 57.
And you know
Jake
what?
Paul's in his prime.
You know what? You're not touching.
Look,
Tyson.
I'll tell you what.
We'll go back.
$20. $20. Look,
I'll do $100 on that one.
$20. Mike Tyson loses, but I want Mike Tyson to win. I do. Yeah. It's Iron Mike. I would be willing to lose $20 to watch Mike just catch him with one of those fucking peekaboo jabs.
Yep. Oh no, the uppercut. Oh, Mike catches him with that uppercut.
If Jake gets too close, Jake says Jake was calling Mike out, going, Mike, I really want to feel how hard you can hit. Well, tell you what, you just lean in and you get one of those peekaboo uppercuts. You're gonna find out, man. And he hits that button, it's lights out.
Oh yeah, no,
but. Jake Paul's in shape. He's in his prime. I don't know. We'll see. If they go 100, it's supposed to be an 80. It's kind of one of those semi-exhibition fights, I think. But
no, but here's the deal. This is why I know that Mike's going to win. Imagine you're 57 years old, Mike Tyson. You have been through the wars. Are you going to let that kid win even if you have to bite his ear off?
I was going to say you've been through the wars and the ears.
Yeah, is your pride gonna let you lose to that kid? No matter
much love and props to Mike, man. Iron Mike, dude. The fact that he's even willing to do this, dude. The guy has no fear. Dude, he fears no one.
He was like a year and a half ago. He smashed that kid on the plane that was talking shit to him.
Well, you seen he beat. What was that exhibition fight he did? He beat. What's his name? Who did he fight? Who's that guy? He was another older MMA boxer fighter guy. I forget now.
I don't know.
But he beat him pretty good. Yeah. I mean, that was an exhibition, but I mean, I think that was supposed to be an 80% fight too. But anyway,
Mike doesn't do 80%. As soon as Mike gets mad, all gloves are off. Literally.
Here's the thing I would say to that. I would say in all of this, there's a certain amount of Hollywood and showmanship involved behind the scenes that you don't say. However, it's Mike Tyson.
Yeah, it's Mike Tyson.
It's Mike Tyson. Mike Tyson don't give two F's about what anyone else thinks.
He has taken on 80% of the freaking people who interviewed him and tried to disrespect him. He tries to pick a fight with him on set.
All right, guys, throw your comments up. Mike Tyson or Jake Paul? Can't wait to see.
Yeah, who says Mike Tyson's gonna win? Type Mike Tyson. Type Jake Paul if you think Jake Paul's gonna win.
Yep.
Anybody that wants to take Jake Paul, I'll put money on you. I'll take every bet.
I'm willing to lose $20. I hope I lose the 20. I hope Mike Tyson eviscerates him. But I'm going to go with the odds. And I'm going to take Jake Paul.
Is Vegas actually giving the odds to Jake Paul?
He's in his prime.
I'm putting together some money on this one.
If he keeps his distance, he's going to work Mike over.
But here's the thing, though.
But if he gets in close,
Iron Mike,
but you see,
he's not doing the distance.
Mike doesn't have the distance, though. That's the thing. He's going to have to work Jake over real quick.
You know what? I think he is actually in good cardiac shape. Jake Paul does not want to see a 7th round with Mike Tyson.
No, that's true.
Yeah.
No, don't get me wrong, guys. I'm all for Iron Mike. Yeah. I'm just playing the odds.
Yeah. If he may keep the fighting at a distance.
I'd love it. I'd love to see.
Mike Tyson's gonna take the hits.
If I saw Jake Paul get knocked out, I'd be dishing out my 20 with glee.
And it is. I have a feeling it's gonna be one of those highlight reels that you're gonna see.
It's gonna be the fight of the year.
Oh yeah.
Nobody's gonna give two shits about anything else. On any other fight, that thing is going to take precedent.
I haven't paid for a fight.
I mean, it's brilliant. Who's behind it? Who are the promoters behind this? Is it Jake Paul?
Netflix.
Oh, it's a Netflix.
It's a Netflix
I was going to say follow the money. Who's going to make money on this one?
Netflix, yeah.
Brilliant, Netflix. Nice call.
Yeah.
But I think it was Jake Paul's idea, wasn't it?
It was Jake. It was kind of one of those half thoughts that somebody grabbed a hold of, and then Netflix popped up and goes, "Hey, we'll actually pay for this fight." And Jake Paul's like, "Hell yeah, I'll take that paycheck."
Brilliant.
And
the guy's brilliant. I got to give him props.
Even he has the podcast, real famous MMA. He's part of the MMA. Holy hell,
Joe Rogan.
Joe Rogan. Joe Rogan's like, look, Jake Paul is in fantastic shape. He goes, but that is Iron Mike Tyson.
That's I know. It's Iron Mike Tyson.
That is Iron Mike Tyson.
And Mike will himself.
Oh yeah, no, like
the guy has will, and dude, you watch him practice. He doesn't look like he's missed a step, man.
Oh no, and
that guy.
Well, that's what it is.
He hits Jake on that big old button. It's lights out.
Jake's learning to box. Mike is
That's a
muscle
good point.
memory.
That's a good point. Yeah, Mike doesn't have to think about it.
Yeah, no, like Mike's in there training, and he's not taking notes. He's just remembering. Where Jake's, Jake's learning. Where Mike's just like, no. Oh, I remember this. I remember this.
You know what that's a lot like?
What?
Me when I eat ice cream. I don't have to train for it. I just remembering.
And you do it all without even thinking. And next thing you know, the carton's gone, and you're 12 years old again, and you're about to get in trouble with your mom.
My blood pressure's through the roof, and my cholesterol, and I'm fat. Look like I'm about ready to give birth to.
I mean, just get a single wide trail. You got to remodel. It'll help you lose weight. My friend walked in the other day.
Hey, you're looking a little thinner, boss.
Yeah, somebody told me that today. I'm like, really? Because I feel way older, but
Welcome to the podcast where we can go any direction at any time. No, seriously though, back to Tyson meat. Yeah. The reason I want to say this is because it ties into the illegal immigration. Tyson recently announced that they're going to fire and lay off legal American workers and replace them with illegal immigrants because they'll work for whatever, $16 an hour.
And that's where the problem lies in all this is forget the fact that we have no clue who's coming over the border, and then we have stopped more people on the FBI watch list in the last year and a half, even though we're only catching a pittance than we have in the last 4 years combined.
Well, my thing with it is, and to finish my thought, is a couple things. First of all, how effed up is that? Number one, there's this company that makes millions and billions or whatever that's willing to basically publicly say, yeah, screw it, we're going to screw American workers. However, their case is, I always like to play devil's advocate, they're claiming that, well, they don't want to work for $16 an hour. They don't want to work so these illegal immigrants, well, and that's a good point because what we've done, Jeffrey, is we've created this welfare society that says, fuck it, I can panhandle and make more money. I can be on unemployment and make more money. And the government's just going to keep dishing it out. And this current administration is largely responsible for that, handing out these checks, keeping people on the dole.
This has been going on for 25 years. This has been a slow walk. I mean, we may be accelerating right at the moment.
Accelerating, that's a good way to put it.
At the same time, we created this system where it was like.
So in Tyson's defense, it's shitty what they're doing. Yeah. I disagree with it, but also I get their point. That's like, okay, wake up, America. You little lazy little shits don't want to work.
Yep.
You want $20 an hour minimum wage, but you're not qualified to pick your own fucking nose. Excuse my language.
At the same time, you're going to make $20 an hour wage, which is then going to raise the prices of everything. So you're still not going to be able to make it, which is going to drop your work ethic because you're like, oh, I'm making $20 an hour. You know what? If you're making $20 an hour 15 years ago, you were stunning.
Yeah. 18. Remember 18 bucks? I'm making $18 an hour.
Yeah. And you know what? People are like, I can't live off 10. And then it kept getting raised. Now it's like, if you're if you're not making $30 an hour,
minimum,
minimum, you're gonna be fighting every paycheck.
$30 an hour is the old $20 an hour for sure.
Oh, it's the old $10 an hour right now.
You're pretty right. I mean,
then that's the problem is we keep raising it, and this is what caused this whole thing is if we were still paying $10 an hour minimum wage, and then these immigrants came in and they're like, yeah, $10 an hour, I'd be like, man, maybe. Yeah. Now it's like, oh, you're gonna pay me $20 an hour, which is so much more from where they come from. That now they're like, man, I can actually afford food and everything.
Look, I don't blame the immigrants.
No,
per se for coming here. It's the problem I don't have, and this is kind of a bit of a rabbit trail again. My problem is with, it's women and children. No, it's not. It's military age men. We're being infiltrated, and that's a whole nother podcast that I'm going to get into. But folks, there's more that's occurring. The Democrats, whether it's intentional or they're just blindly dumb to see that they want the votes. What's coming along with that? is an infiltration, a literal invasion of this country. So wise up. But anyway,
I just want to say, there's no way you're going to make it to that level of government to work through that entire system and be that dumb. You are
they're not
that
dumb.
dumb.
That's why I was saying that one podcast when I said they're not dumb. They know exactly what they're doing. Now the minions below them are like, oh yeah, we have good hearts and we're good intentions and
And you know what? You do have good intentions built on illogical beliefs. And that's the problem. That's the truth.
That's a good way to put it.
They do have good intentions. Like I've seen people that I won't agree with on anything, but they are actually really putting an awful lot of effort into things that they feel are good intentions. And I mean,
you ever heard that term? The highway to hell is paved with good intentions.
Okay, well they're well, it's different when you actually believe that is the
no, I get it.
They're not having intentions; they're doing the actions behind it, and that's part of the problem.
Well, and speaking of that, let's tie into bring it around full circle to the homeless people. Lots of different opinions on this. Bellingham has seen an epidemic of this. We've had some victories in that. I remember when behind Home Depot. That was the big problem behind Home Depot. We talked about that a little bit with the Jimmy Kitchens interview and just how once they cleaned that up, got some armed security, all of a sudden loss prevention was not a problem.
Yeah. No, I mean,
and so, but they moved over behind Walmart or they're moving over by Jack in the Box, which by the way, you have been intimately acquainted with both areas. So why don't you do this? Why don't you tell us about the culture and the infrastructure and the breakdown of what you see as you walk in to the Walmart camp, for example? You told me there's almost different levels and layers.
Oh, big time.
Yeah. Tell me a little bit about that.
Okay, so the biggest issue, because obviously public opinion and what people see is going to help define their perceptions of the entire area. Well, the thing about it is the people who sell fentanyl and are on fentanyl all hang out in the front. So they want to have street access. Why would you want that? Because if somebody's dropping off more drugs, you're right there. Somebody wants to pull up and buy drugs, you're right there. And guess what? When everyone shows up to feed or drop off supplies, they come right there. So the worst of the worst are all within the first 100 yards.
Who do you think, who are these fentanyl dealers? Who are these people?
Honestly, Mexican cartel.
Yeah, I've heard that.
Yeah, no, it's a fact.
Really?
Oh yeah, no, they're bringing.
I mean, I suspected that.
You just saw that they just busted a bunch of people with a large amount of fentanyl. A week and a half ago. Yeah, just go down and look at all the.
And
arrests.
how does the Mexican cartel get here so easily? Open border.
Well, I mean, yes.
Or do you have a different perspective?
To some extent, but you realize that underneath the border, it's like a maze of tunnels at this point because
I've heard about that. So that's not really mythology.
No, not at all.
Really?
Okay, if you have a
some
$1 billion industry,
right,
and you have access to that level of money, and the one thing standing in between you and that money is a mile of land,
and you've got millions of dollars to play with,
billions of dollars to play with.
That's not a problem.
No. Like
it's just a matter of will.
Yeah, and you know what? If that's stopping you and costing you millions of dollars, like that's just a problem to solve. Like they're like, oh well, now the U.S. government can tell about tunnels X amount deep. Cool, go deeper. Like you have all the workers down there who are willing to work for pennies. What is it for them?
Well, some of them are. It's like you're going to do this, or your family's going to get.
Yeah, no, that's a lot of them. But I mean, like general workers, like if you just wanted to go pick up a ton of worker, wrong. Like if you dig that tunnel, you're probably not going to live by the time it's finished. Right. I mean, that's just another set of lips. You got to make it disappear.
So we've got that. We've got that. So a lot of this. I mean, look, the open border obviously clearly doesn't help because it allows the fentanyl to come through that much easier. I mean, they're muling it. They're muling it right across.
Well, I mean, you don't hear about people getting caught in massive quantities coming through on foot.
Well, because the Border Patrol has been called to stand down.
Well, I mean, they've all the
The
stops
Biden
that they were
administration
making.
has
Oh, yeah.
literally
I know.
circumcised and castrated the Border Patrol.
But at the same time, if you have people walking across with bags, or you have an underground system with carts that can move product,
Well, I think you're
more
dealing
safer.
with both. I think you're dealing
Yeah,
with both.
I mean,
yeah.
you're gonna obviously be
But
doing
that's
some,
interesting.
yeah.
That's interesting. So
Like,
okay,
I mean-
so we got the Mexican cartel.
Yeah.
And then that gets kind of what's the aspect of local people involved in this?
The local people,
Are they just kind of a victim of this system?
it's this drug. Okay, like, look, I
Tell me how powerful this is. By the way, digress a minute.
Okay, so I used to use drugs. I've used everything up to heroin. I never got into the heroin thing. I used meth, look, pretty much anything else that you can name. But heroin was always those ones that I watched it grab people to a point, and they never really came
I
back.
had a roommate that was a former heroin addict.
This is 100 times more addictive than heroin. And it's at 1/20th the price. Like, nobody's using heroin.
What's the potency
Oh, it's,
on a scale? I mean,
so I was talking to somebody about, how they got into it and, how much they used beginning versus what they use now. And your first time using, you never do more than one hit off of a pill.
so what? Okay, that's like a pill like the size of an Oxycontin
Yeah,
or
so
something.
it's actually stamped as an Oxycontin. They stamp them like Oxycontins, but they're clearly not. Now, one pill, Oxycontin used to go for around $1 a milligram. So a 20 milligram pill would cost you $20, right? And that's not even like a crazy Oxy. I mean, they went all the way up to 80.
Right.
These pills, if you didn't know anybody, walk downtown, found a random stranger, highest level you can get, you're going to pay $4. If you know somebody, you can get them as low as 25 cents.
Are you shitting me? And
No.
you're gonna get high as fuck.
And if you're a first timer, you need one hit off of one pill.
And then what? You're addicted?
Oh yeah, no, you're toast.
Really? So it
Yeah.
grabs you that hard?
Oh yeah, no, like one time and you're done. That there is no curve of this. This stuff will grab you. It's a shorter high than heroin, so you need to use it more often. And
God, I can't believe you'd almost be better off with heroin.
oh, you would a million times be better off with heroin.
Insane. I had a buddy, just a tangent real quick, and not to be, crude, but my buddy described it. He said, imagine an orgasm that lasts for like 4 to 6 hours. He says that's what it's like to be on heroin. I'm like, that's an interesting. I'm like, all right, sign me up. No, just kidding. I'm like, but I mean, dude, that's powerful because, sorry, I'm not trying to get sexual, but literally an orgasm, that's one of the most powerful things you can feel. I mean, it's insane. It's crazy. Your whole body, you're just,
Yeah.
Imagine that for hours on end. No wonder it's so addicting.
Yep.
But then when you come down, it's hell.
Oh yeah, no. That's what the problem is. Is like the detox from this is not only. I mean, like we've all been hungover, and the next day you feel like crap and everything. But with this, it's every muscle. When you've been just ridiculously sick and all your muscles ache, and you're like puking. And,
there's kind of a sickness that comes along with it too.
Massive sickness.
So your body almost goes into
that's what it is.
Fighting a foreign invader almost.
It's worse than that. Okay, like I've been locked into cells with people who are detoxing, literally laying on a cold floor, soaked in sweat, shivering, back and forth to the bathroom, puking, pooping, all that. And
God, I couldn't stand. Oh,
and that lasts for
puke
a
and
week.
poop in the same cell.
Yeah, and for a week long, you're dealing with this with no escape. So, and you're like, well, I don't understand why people can't just stop using that. Yeah, you know what?
No, I get it.
Yeah, like go.
Well, like we talked about with James Lynch when we did that interview, and he said, "There's no way today I could be on the street without being on something."
Well,
I mean, it'd be hard to avoid. Continuing on, there's these, as you had described to me, layers of homeless.
Yep.
Which is, I think it's interesting for people to know that What is the percentage of homeless that are committing crimes is actually
About 5%.
so 5% of all of these people that are homeless. It's the minority running the majority.
Massive minority.
Really?
Yeah, no, you'd be surprised. Like, even until I went all the way back and really started to sit down and get to know some of these people and learn about them.
Well, go ahead.
Yeah.
Walk us through the Walmart and Camp.
So the Walmart encampment, the very front, that's where you're gonna find the bulk of the people. You'll see them out there in the corners smoking fentanyl. There's huge garbage piles. You walk back about 20 yards. There's huge piles of shopping carts. Then as you start getting further back,
you mentioned clothing at one point in our previous conversations. You said there's piles of shit that's been stolen.
Not sure if this has been stolen. Well,
okay, maybe
shopping carts. There's piles of clothing that get discarded because people donate clothing all the time, but they have no way of washing them.
So they use it, it gets dirty, and they dump it.
Because what are you going to do with it? I mean, you're just going to store up like a year's worth of donations, and when you're literally just getting new clothes all the time dropped off.
So it just sits there.
Yeah, and it's not like they have dumpsters to deal with this stuff. Like,
which ties into, didn't they recently do something with dumpsters? They brought a bunch of dumpsters in.
So, fun fact on that one. You've seen when they voted to sue the person, that picture they used with all the shopping carts and all the garbage out front, how they were suing the thing.
You mean the owner?
Yeah, the owner.
Okay.
Yeah, I guess who took that photo?
No shit, that was yours.
Yeah, because that was the before picture, right before the dumpsters were showing up, and they removed all the garbage. And it wasn't me that did it. It wasn't any of our group that's going out. It was the homeless that did it. You see,
they removed the garbage? Really?
They brought all those carts out front, not because they, were just dumping everything. It's because they heard there were dumpsters coming and they didn't want to live in filth.
Really?
And so they had an opportunity to finally get rid of the garbage. And so in the snow, these people are bringing up shopping carts full of garbage just so it'll go away.
Wow.
Yeah, like if there were dumpsters on site, they would not be able to say that was a dirty place because they would be used continuously.
Really?
Yep. Oh, yeah.
Really?
Now, here's the one that is really going to shock you. A friend of mine, who we're not using names anymore because of this whole situation, he was help spearheading everyone bringing garbage out. He actually kicked the fentanyl dealers out the front of the place. He was putting together a picnic table area where if people wanted to come feed, they could have places to sit.
So hold on. Keep that thought. Mm-hmm. He kicked the fentanyl dealers out.
Yep.
Really? How did he manage to do that? Didn't they tell him to go F themselves, we're staying? Or did he just like strong arm them?
Yep.
Or
Yeah.
He says, I'll go. We're going to go toe to toe. Really?
Yeah. No.
Really?
Yep. And you don't mess with him.
He'll just go ape shit.
No. Well, no. He's got a long reputation. So you just
and his reputation precedes him.
They're like, you know what?
This isn't a guy to mess with.
No.
Really?
Yeah. So
okay.
But he's like, I'm gonna make a safe space up in the front where if church people want to come by and talk to people, and it was he called it the community center. Like he literally cleared out all the brush, was putting in tables. We were getting bathrooms up front because they don't have bathrooms there. So a lot of times they're using the woods. It's like
No, I get it. Yeah, you're camping.
And working on putting in showers up front so that these people would actually have basic human services in a area that was
How would you put in showers?
We actually designed them. We have a portable shower design and a stationary shower design.
Really? When you say we, you and this person?
Me and our friend group have all been working on this.
Really?
Yeah, no. It's actually not as expensive as you would think to put in portable showers.
Well, there's a lot of stuff out there that doesn't have to be so freaking expensive.
Yeah, I mean, you can actually get a portable shower heating unit for like $100.
Really?
You just got to build the space.
This is interesting. Okay, so back to we're getting into the levels. We're past the fentanyl dealers. He kicked the fentanyl dealers out.
He was building this area. It was almost done, and then a code enforcement agent got a hold of him.
All right, explain to us what that means.
So, yeah, you know how Bellingham is saying like we need to deal with this homeless problem, and nobody's doing anything, and it's not getting better. But private citizens actually took it upon themselves to do the right thing and fix the problem. You wanted the garbage gone? Cool. It was assisted to help it dealt with. It was assisted by the homeless people. You don't want them polluting the area, causing problems? Cool. We actually created areas to try to better people, get people into treatment, and deal with the problem. The city comes in and threatened him with tens of thousands of dollars and criminal charges and said,
For what exactly?
cleaning up that area.
Because what? Was he violating some garbage codes or something?
And they said, we don't want this area cleaned up.
No, come on.
That's what they told him specifically.
The city.
City told him, hey, we do not want this area cleaned up. See, you
Why?
could...
Wait. That doesn't make sense.
Really? Because if you want
He's doing their dirty work for them.
But here's the deal. If you want to... This was before the vote to sue the landowner. Now, if the area is getting better and you put it to a vote and somebody speaks up and goes, well, it was bad last week, but now it's actually looking better. Well, now it's complicated the whole issue. They're not really the bad people
Now
anymore.
politics come in.
Yeah. So, and now all of a sudden, they're starting to sweep some other properties too because
They meaning the city.
Yeah, but it's based on the landowners. A lot of the landowners where people are camping are allowing people to be there. They're like, you know what? They're homeless. I'm not using the property. You know, it is what it is. At least, you know, they have a place to stay. But now everyone's getting scared that they're going to get sued too.
I guess I'm the asshole owner. I'd be like, get the f off my property.
You know
I'd
what?
be like bulldozer in there, but whatever. I'm the heartless guy. Anyway.
But I mean, at the same time, like the lady, the person that owns the property behind Walmart, they live in Taiwan, you know?
Well, and that's a whole nother issue we're dealing with.
Yeah,
There's a lot of these Taiwanese, Chinese, whatever, owners that don't give two rips.
Yeah.
They own land here. They don't live here. They don't manage it. And whatever happens, happens. Then you got a whole nother problem.
Yeah. Well, I mean, we have the core problem, which is the fact that these people are ending up homeless back there. And okay, so here's the core of the problem is that let's say you fall in hard times. Let's just say you lose your job, you broke your arm, you are literally incapable of working. The government has fallen through on getting you any resources.
You don't have any family.
Yeah, you don't have any family, and you literally just you get pigeonholed into this situation. Now, don't get me wrong. We have different work ethics. Like, I mean, I could never allow myself to reach that point.
Right. But for the person who does, let's just follow this logic for a minute.
You know, like, I mean, everyone has their own mental capabilities and their ability to endure, and that's fine. But you fall in hard times, and your last resort, you end up at a camp. Well, now you're surrounded by drugs and hopeless people, and you're trying to figure out a way out.
Hopeless people do hopeless things.
Yeah, exactly. So you're sitting around, and people are offering you drugs and things like that because you know what? You're just trying to find some solace in the fact that you're cold, you're hungry, you're tired, and you don't see a way out.
Some solace for a little while.
Yeah, exactly. So now you're stuck in this cycle. You're like, okay, I don't want to be here. I'm not comfortable. I hate my life. I hate everything I'm doing. How do I get out?
That's a good question.
Okay, so, you know, everyone says, go to detox. Cool, you go to detox. Let's say you're lucky enough to find a ride to detox. They happen to have an opening when you get there. And you go in, you do detox, you go through a week of hell, and you get out and you're like, cool, I want to go to treatment. Cool, so yeah, we can apply you. If we can find an opening, we might be able to get you in, but otherwise it'll probably be another month.
So there's red tape. And bureaucracy.
But for the next month, what do? You're now homeless again. Where are you going to go? You're going to go back to what you know. It's human nature.
Yeah.
So you're going to go back into the camp, and now you're stuck in the exact same circumstance that caused you the problem the first time. And let's say you go to treatment, and you get
the devil we know is better than
exactly.
The angel we don't know.
And so you're still homeless no matter which way you do. Yeah, you may be able to get into a shelter if there's room. You may be able to find a program if you're able to, but you got to realize you're functioning on a limited mental capacity at that point. You know, coming off of drugs, like the smallest things will give you anxiety at a level that you can't even comprehend. Like making appointments are
the
you
level
can't
of anxiety.
Focus. Yeah, like you like
even trying to focus. Yeah.
So then, let's say you get to treatment, you get out. Cool. Here's a list of resources. All right, you're back homeless. and maybe you have a friend that like stay with you, and then you have to go down this list. And guess what? Start calling all those people on the list and be like, hey, and then you find all the red tape. So if I could have sat down and designed a system made to fail, I don't think I could have done a better job.
Wow.
And that's what the issue is like that there's a good program down at the Mission. Right now, I have a friend that just went through it. I knew him since elementary school. He was addicted to drugs. He would come to the shop all the time, and I just talked to him. He ended up getting this program. He's been clean a year now. Now he's actually going to go work for the program. That's great. Very limited beds. You know,
always some sort of contingency.
Yeah, there's no clear path, like absolutely clear with essentially promoters going out telling people that there's openings. Let me get you in there, because when you decide to get off of drugs and make that change, you have that moment. You found a chink in the armor and you need to take advantage of it. There's no, okay, I'll be back next week and tell you the results and maybe we'll get you in 2 weeks, because their mind will not be the same. They've just now gone through 3 more weeks of whatever they're going through. And like you have that moment.
I imagine, and I'm bringing this up because I've suffered from it. I imagine these people probably, unless they're on drugs and totally pass out, probably don't sleep well.
No,
because sleep is the number one problem in America right now. It's a really huge thing. It causes a lot of anxiety.
I think fentanyl's taking that one over.
Well, no. But I mean, if you're not, the reason I bring this up is because I've dealt with sleep deprivation.
Yeah.
on an epic level and that's a whole nother story for another time, that almost killed me one time. And I found I had sleep apnea, and I've dealt with it now. But long story short, you've got all these factors. You're getting off drugs. You have anxiety about, okay, I have nothing.
Yeah.
What are my options? Well, fuck it. I'm just going to get high again because at least the pain will go away.
Yep.
For 4 or 6 hours. And that's better than dealing. So,
it's a path of escape, even if it's only for a short period of time. And when there's no other path to escape at that time.
Yeah. No, I have empathy for it. I mean, again, people call me, oh, you're heartless. No, I'm for accountability. I'm for boundaries, self-governance. However, I'm not unsympathetic or empathetic to this. I get it. I get that's got to be awful to be in this position where you are so hopeless that the only thing that gives me solace is doing drugs.
Yeah.
And so, all right, so let's walk deeper into the camp. Okay.
All right.
So we got past the fentanyl dealers. Now we're getting into the people that are drugged out that have by the fentanyl dealers. But you had mentioned something about there was also a deeper level of those who just are okay with living off the land, essentially. Is that correct? Or being homeless and just want to be left alone.
Yeah. So I was actually surprised the further I got back into there, how many sober people there actually are back there.
Really?
There's a very large population of completely sober people. Don't use any drugs at all. Don't use alcohol, nothing.
No way.
Yep, absolutely.
How do they interact with the rest? Do they try to distance themselves?
Yep, they literally, so on the backside of the camp, that's where you're going to find people who either don't use it all or use very, very regularly because...
Rarely, you meant.
Yeah, like they may occasionally, but they literally...
But they're not major addicts.
I'd say 50% of that entire camp won't even associate with the corner where everyone shows up, even for free supplies, because they don't want to be lumped into the group of those people.
Why do you think that is? Do you think that it's because
they give everyone a bad name?
No,
they don't want to be associated with them because they're not back there causing problems.
And what percentage of the homeless do you think this is? If you had to guess.
At least 50%, and probably
at
another.
Least, so let me get this straight. So at least 50%, in your opinion, of the homeless, for example, in the Walmart camp, just want to be left alone.
Just want to be left alone, or just don't have a way out. But they do not want to be associated with the fentanyl dealers, the people using fentanyl, the whole BS.
So
drama.
how are they doing? How are they getting supplies? How are they doing commerce? Are they panhandling and
Yep,
kind
a
of
lot of
actually working?
times,
Or are they
yep.
stealing or stealing just the 5% you were talking about?
They're panhandling. They're trading with their friends,
Okay.
and that's where you actually hit the community. And that's the thing, though. Like, if you look at it as a whole, the community at a homeless camp is actually what we grew up with in the 80s. You see, your neighbors are hungry. Guess what? They will go panhandle, buy a ton of canned foods, find somebody that's got a cook stove, and have cookouts and feed everybody around them.
Really?
They do that, yeah.
Really? So there's a community
Yeah, a
within
huge community.
that take care of each other.
Yeah, but they take
Really?
people back there take care of each other more than the people out here do. And that is
Yeah.
a fact.
Well, that's because we're fat, dumb, and happy
Yeah.
Americans. No, I get that. I get that. So what you're saying is there's a culture in there that takes care of their own.
That is the culture back there.
Really?
Yeah, like sure, there's some a-holes that go around stealing and just they're
So and that's the biggest problem, and that's what we see.
Yep.
Right. That's the surface layer of what we see. Jeffrey, is the homeless are causing problems.
Yep.
The homeless are doing drugs. The homeless are shitting on the streets. The homeless are stealing and shoplifting. But what you're saying,
yeah.
anyway, is the larger percentage of the homeless aren't the ones doing that.
No.
It's a smallest minority percent that's doing all the stuff that's causing the issues that we perceive from the homeless. Is that correct?
Yep. All right, think about this. How many you go to a store and you're there, you drive all the way to the store, you go into the store, you see somebody stealing, you mathematically put together all the homeless you see between when you leave your house into the store and when you leave. You're at what, maybe 10? Like, and on the high end, like, so let's say 10 homeless people between your house and the store and back.
Okay.
There's 200 homeless back there. Most of them don't leave. They don't even leave their camps ever. They rely on friends coming and going, dropping off things.
So there's a system of commerce and delivery.
Yeah. Well, people are always trying to help everyone back there.
Really?
I mean, heck, Stefan was up there, and I feel really, really bad for the guy. He kind of drives me nuts. So because,
is he a homeless guy?
Oh yeah.
Okay.
With no legs. He's in a wheelchair.
Okay.
He is severely addicted to fentanyl, or at least he was. And
What do you mean by you think he was?
or at least he was, because recently we actually heard he died, and like people were holding candlelight vigils out there.
Really?
Then we found out he was actually in the hospital. He died, but he came back.
Okay.
And some people are saying they've actually seen him sober lately, which is really good because, like,
So okay, go ahead. Tell me about this guy.
yeah. But during the worst cold, like I'd see him out there, and don't get me wrong, being homeless with no legs.
Why does he have no legs? Is he a vet?
No, he's not a vet. It was diabetes or something.
Okay,
Like, he's had like 9 back surgeries too.
Okay.
Like, I mean, medically, he is really messed up, and that also buys him a lot of sympathy in a lot of ways. But even
Does he take advantage of that?
yeah, he has
Of his
yeah.
his formalities.
Yeah. Because I mean, even during the worst cold, like he was out there, and I saw him, and like if you've ever seen somebody suffer like that, like we felt,
that's interesting. Just digressing a minute, and that was one of the things. And I don't know if this guy does it, but that kind of ticked me off. And I've been bitten several times by homeless people. Again, I'm not saying they're all like this. This guy was standing on the street corner, and he's right there, where you get off the freeway by Denny's.
Yep.
There's always people standing
Telegraph,
there.
yep.
This Telegraph, right? The guy's, like his hands are cold, right?
Yeah.
So I had bought several pairs of these insulated rubber gloves.
Yeah.
They're dipped, but they're insulated.
Yeah.
So I hand this guy a pair, right? He's, oh, yeah, thank you, man. Next thing you know, I drive off. I look in the rearview mirror. He stuffs them in his pocket and goes back to. I'm just like, son of a bitch. I just got fleeced by one of these guys.
Well,
and
I bet he wore them later. Okay, like.
He's working it.
Yeah,
he's working it. He got me. He got me. So but anyway, so Back to Stefan.
Stefan, like he's just severely addicted. And during the cold, I mean, it was cold. So
Oh,
like
I
there,
remember.
there was
I remember you out. I remember you were out there doing some Facebook lives.
a bunch of us were, and
Which, by the way, good on you, man.
it's just
Good on you.
You know, see that's really the point. Is it's such a complicated, huge issue that it's really easy to just go, I don't know where to start, so I don't know what to do, and I'm not going to do anything. But doing something will always be better than doing nothing.
Absolutely. Absolutely.
Good, bad, or not, like trying and taking on the problem. I mean, since we started this, I have learned about so many huge groups that have been doing this for years. And like they've really put together some really amazing systems that have been out there helping and feeding and building connections and everything else. Lorelei and Mission for Misty, and there's so many groups out there that are actually doing this. I had no idea. We thought nobody was going out. Either. Yeah, no. I mean, they have box trucks and full setups, and I mean, like they've really they've established connections with all the different. There's a lot of resources out there, but everybody is so about themselves that it's like
human nature.
No,
unfortunately. Well, we're all preservists.
They're all working together, but they're all also doing everything they can to get what they can for their own missions.
Yeah, and
they've all got their own ideas, and so like there was a lot of animosity in between these groups, and I'm like,
oh,
guys,
really?
I'm like,
so they're all on the same mission.
No, they all are on the same
like
mission.
Gang territory.
Yeah, but at the same time, they're all on the exact same. It's like arguing Christian sects between different denominations. I'm like, guys, you realize this is all the same, like
same Jesus, same God,
and
no denominations. Yeah, that's yeah. So, all right. So, but there's groups helping. There's let's just finish up with these layers.
Yeah,
you get to the back where there's just people that are like basically like, screw it. This is I'm cool just living off the land and panhandling and just leave me alone and I'll leave you alone.
Well, I mean, a lot accurate? Of times, so that's where you're actually going to find like ex-military, the ones who came back and weren't able to function in society. There's a 22-year Army Ranger vet back behind Walmart. He's been back there for 10 years.
No kidding.
But he's choosing to be back there. Like if you offer him an apartment,
he's just like, screw it, I can't do people.
Yeah, and I mean, I can appreciate that, like after going through everything he went through,
Look, man, I'm the first to tell you, I'm not going to judge anyone.
Yeah.
If that's what, where it becomes a problem for me, you do you.
Yep.
You do you. Is when it becomes a problem for me is when you bring it into my space. Right. My world, my home, my house, my and shopping. He's not. But if you're not one of those guys, I don't care, man. Yeah. Live your life. You go do you.
There are also quite a few women back there that have been like massively sexually assaulted through their lives.
I can imagine.
They can't be around people because they're terrified. And
I imagine the sex. That's a whole nother topic.
Yeah.
Hey, tell me about that. I imagine the sex. Even just selling themselves for drugs has to be a big,
very minuscule. Actually, the truth is
really,
it's usually like childhood trauma and things like that, where they've developed such a PTSD from being around people that they end up homeless, obviously, because they can't work because you can't be around people, and then.
But I hear about these women, well, even guys, but selling themselves for sex to get drugs.
I mean, sure, but it's like a portion. It's a very small portion. I obviously
really?
It happens. Yeah,
it happens.
Yeah, but at the end of the day, like.
But do you think it's prevalent?
No.
It's not as prevalent as we make it out to be.
God, no. Like, just because a woman's homeless, believe me, that's
really.
They're more likely to be panhandling than they are to be hooking. So
really, yeah. Okay. I just seems so dirty to me too.
But they still have that. They still have that. Even when you're using drugs, you have your line. Everybody's got their line. Now that line shifts from person to person dramatically.
Of course.
But we all have that line that allows us to look in the mirror in the morning and at least look in the mirror.
Right. You got to look at yourself.
Yep.
Yeah.
And so we all have that. Well, at least I'm not that. Now that's different with
Right.
every person,
Right.
but everybody's got it, and because
We qualify it.
at
We
the end of the
equivocate.
day, we are all the heroes of our own story, no matter what we make that look like. And so we have to be able to look in the mirror and say, I'm the hero, not the villain.
Right.
Nobody wants to be the villain.
Right. Right.
So, yeah, like
That's powerful. Yeah.
but these are people who have been attacked, assaulted, and like damaged in,
I
in
can't
severe
imagine
ways, and so they,
what goes on,
Look, from what I've learned and my opinions and my experiences in my life, the only way this gets better is a couple different things. One,
Right. I was going to ask you,
Yeah.
what's the solution?
yeah. So
In your opinion?
the solution is way less complicated than it needs to be.
Is it
Because-
government? Is it the community? Is it both?
I mean, it sure as shit would be nice if the government would step up and do the right thing. But the thing about it is it's
But what
not
is
gonna
the
make any
right
money.
thing?
You need to have a clear path that people can get out. But here's the kicker: it has to have expectations along. You can't hand somebody a free way out when they don't have to lift a finger. Okay, you have
See,
to.
this is where, by the way, folks, as I know of Jeffrey, Jeffrey's very much in the middle.
Yeah,
He has a deep heart for these people.
yeah.
He's been on the other side. He's dealt with drugs. He's dealt with addiction. He's been in jail. And Jeffrey's a reformed man now, by the way, and that's a whole nother deal. We can talk about that in a minute. But I mean, you are also for accountability and responsibility.
Well, I mean, how are you going to put somebody back, rehabilitate them into a world that requires responsibility? If you don't have responsibility building up. Now, don't get me wrong. In the beginning, you
Good
need to have
point.
very, very little responsibility because of the overload I was talking about,
Sure.
the mental capacity,
Sure.
everything. And you have to build it up as you go because you can't make it overwhelming enough that they quit. But at the same time, if you're not building and increasing it as you go along, you're not going to rebuild that skill set that requires you to operate.
Right.
Because, I mean, we all have responsibility. You have to pay your bills.
So this is a nurturing period.
And it has to be a step program from very little responsibility going up, but very clearly defined. You're going to do this or you're not, and there's no wiggle room.
See, it used to be the churches were kind of involved in that, and now I guess my problem is we need programs or we need venues for these people to have the ability to rehab and regroup, reprogram their brain. My concern is who do we get to do that? Because what I've seen, unfortunately, lately in our quote unquote mental illness industry is half the people that are running the mental illness industry are mentally ill themselves.
Well, I mean, who goes to become the counselor? What type of
you got people
personality?
that can't figure out if they're a boy or a girl.
What drives a person to go become a mental health counselor?
Well, I mean, if you're asking me, I mean, for me, it would be the humanity of helping people via. I think you have to have some experiences yourself.
That's about 2% of the people. The ones that go into it are the ones who are dealing with damage of their own, and they're trying to figure out why. And they know that they can go to school and learn why, and that's what drives them into the field. Most counselors,
so most counselors are damaged.
yeah, like all of them.
Yeah, well, aren't we all?
I have
Aren't we
sat
all?
down with quite a few counselors out of work.
Well, I
and
would
found their
say,
stories, and their trauma levels are usually higher than most of their patients.
well, and that's concerning because the
But-
question then is, okay, first of all, I'm a perfect example is I'm great at counseling people.
Yeah.
But I can't counsel myself for shit. Right? Even counselors have counselors.
Yeah.
So I can give you great advice. I can help you, but then I still have to minister to myself.
It's all
and
about
that's the
games till
difficult.
you're on the couch.
Right. And so, what you're saying is a lot of these counselors, they got some deep-seated stuff that they're dealing with. And, I used to think this. I had a marriage counselor who had been divorced twice. And I thought, why am I going to a marriage counselor who's been divorced twice? I want a marriage counselor that's been married once and has a successful marriage. But then I started thinking, okay, because maybe it's just possible that this marriage counselor that's been divorced twice has some wisdom to glean of what not to do.
You learn more from failures than you do successes.
There you go.
I want to go to the marriage counselor who's been divorced 36 times.
I mean, look, I think you should have a successful marriage, and I think you should be able to show, look, here's why we have a successful marriage. Maybe you should go to two counselors, one that's had a shitty marriage, one that's had a good marriage, and kind of, figure out in between.
That would be
that's
the right
not a bad
thing to do.
idea.
Yep.
But I mean, it's kind of like going to the alcoholic to find out how not to drink. But then again, is the alcoholic in recovery?
Yeah.
And so I guess I kind of weigh that in the balance now. But what I'm saying is there's people that, I mean,
if you want to,
they can't even decide if they're a man or a woman or what they identify as, that are wanting to give mental illness advice to people who are very sensitive. They're raw. They're coming out of addiction. I think that they need somebody who's stable and has a good moral direction, not somebody that's like, oh, well, whatever you want, whatever you feel, whatever. No, it's not whatever. It's this, and this. These are the things you need to do. These are the things that have proven to be successful throughout history in the sociology of man. These are the things you need to do, not whatever you feel.
Yeah, no.
You need some guidance.
Yeah, you really do need guidance, but I definitely believe that if you're trying to learn the best of anything, find the one who made it to the other side the hardest way possible.
Yeah.
Because that's the one that's going to have the true wisdom.
Yeah.
Other than, look, the people that go, so like when they were banning, when they put the new jail on the jail, this is still off topic, but let's go back to the point. When they put the new jail on the vote at county council, there was a group that came in and were protesting it.
Yeah, I remember that.
They were saying not only don't build a new jail, but close all jails and let everyone go and never lock anybody up again. And I was listening to these people, and there was one kid that spoke.
And this is coming from a guy who's been in jail.
Yeah, and who fully believes that there has to be a consequence system, otherwise the world's going to burn. And everybody who I know who's ever been in jail agrees with me on this point. But he got up and he said, he was very emotional and he was explaining a story, and he said that the worst thing that had ever happened to him his entire life was he had a parent that went to jail for 1 week. And that was the sound all of our group made when he said that. And like, these are the people fighting these things. And it's like, that's what I'm talking about. If you don't have the experience, don't talk. Don't go fighting for things. Don't show up at city council
that you
meetings.
have no knowledge about, no intimate knowledge about.
Yes, you know what? If that is the worst experience of your life, then I'm sorry you went through that, but God, I'm envious of you.
Dude, I couldn't go to jail.
Yeah.
First of all, the older I've gotten, I've become more claustrophobic.
Yeah.
And a prison cell is about as claustrophobic as you can get.
No,
especially if it doesn't have a window. Bro, I'd start hyperventilating and I'd lose my shit.
And guess
what?
And
then they'd put me in solitary, which would be even worse. I mean, if I go to jail for some patriotic thing I do, then that's what it's going to be. But like, other than that, that's one thing that's kept me from doing nefarious things is I'm not built for jail, man. And I know there's people like, hey, this is great, man. I get 3 squares a day. I got a cot. It's warm in here. He has a little moldy, but whatever. I can deal with that. No, not me. Here, I need my freedom, bro.
And this also goes back to the recidivism rate of Washington and other states too. Is one of the biggest issues with the prison system is lack of accountability and preparation for reentry. Okay, so here's the deal. Like, when you're locked up, and by the way, I've got 10 years. Okay, like I'm very well versed in this.
10 years
in prison.
Together,
Yeah,
combined.
combined.
Okay.
Over 4
Wow.
trips. So,
Wow.
10 years of my life, I have experienced this. And when you're in there, they tell you when you eat, they tell you what you eat. You know, you have your assigned program you have to go to. You know, you can sign up for a job. You make 42 cents an hour. Which
Well,
then
there
they
goes
tax
the
on-
minimum wage,
which then they
guys.
tax on top of that too if you owe restitution.
Oh, really?
Yeah,
They
yeah.
take that out of it?
Oh, and on top of that, out of 42 cents an hour.
No kidding.
Yeah, so it's like, okay, here's your, $50 paycheck for the month, but we're going to take 20 of it to go towards restitution, but we're charging you like 50% interest a year, so like
Interesting.
yeah. But when you get out, the hardest thing in the world is making a choice. Okay, you just get out of prison, you've been locked up, you're going to go out to your first meal. What do you want to go eat? You want to watch somebody panic? Take somebody that's been locked up for 5 years and ask them what they want to eat.
Really?
Don't ever ask them.
Really?
Take them out for something nice and order for them.
Because that's been taken away from them for so long that now you've reintroduced, okay, make an own decision for yourself. Interesting.
You can't do it. Like,
interesting.
I've had 2 panic attacks in my life. One was getting locked up, and one was getting out. I was out. Day 2,
re-entry.
Ooh,
That's gotta be
that's a bitch.
Really?
Oh yeah, no. Day 2, or the second day I got out, I went into DSHS, which is a big mistake. Okay, back in public,
DHS
I'm
is a mistake in my opinion.
But
But anyway,
I walked in to get food stamps at the time, and I walked in, and every head turned and looked at me, and I bolted. I literally was sitting in the van hyperventilating. I could not hang.
They all looked at you, or you perceived that they look at you.
Door opens in DSHS, people just turn around, kind of see who's walking.
Sure,
in.
they want to see, right? But
Yeah.
your brain said, everybody's looking at me.
Well, yeah, because they were. And in prison, the last thing in the world you want is an entire room of people looking at you. Yeah.
Okay. Interesting.
Yeah, if the entire room's looking at you, that
You're
means
about to
somebody,
get shanked
Oh
or
yeah, somebody's
frickin-
coming up right behind you. Oh, actually, they'll look at you and then they look away because they won't look. 'Cause they
Right.
don't.
Wow. Interesting.
Yeah.
Okay.
But
Interesting.
like having that anxiety level and then be like, okay, now go make all your decisions and figure life out. And it's like,
So the
Okay.
re-entry process is just like, all right,
Non-existent.
you're done. Now go live
yeah.
life.
Yep. And then it's like, okay, you have all this energy, you're ready to attack the world. You've been planning for God knows how long. And you walk out, and then it's like, okay, I need to get a job. I can only get something meaningless, though, right? Because I'm an ex-felon, and don't have a lot of skills. And it's okay, I'm going to go work McDonald's. And then you go deal with people every day. And the people in prison, there is a very high level of respect. If you get into like West Complex, Walla Walla, what it takes to offend people would shock you.
Meaning what?
You can get into a fight for things that you would never even consider were mildly
So you mean they're
disrespectful.
more easily offended?
Oh yeah.
Okay.
Oh yeah. No. I actually got my nostril ripped in half because I used the wrong telephone.
Wrong telephone.
Mm-hmm.
What does that mean?
It was a native phone. They have
A native
Yeah.
phone?
Well, every race has their own assigned like areas.
No
and
way.
And I accidentally used a native phone, and the white guys ran up after I picked up the phone. They're like, "Hey, that's a native phone." I'm like, "All right, I'll hang up." And they're like, "No, we'll talk to him. We'll squash it. Just don't do it again." I'm like, "Are you sure?" Because I'll hang up. They're like, "No, it's fine." And apparently,
Wow.
they said they squashed it, but then dude walked up and blasted me out of nowhere later in the day. Hardest I've ever been hit, honestly.
Really?
To actually rip my nostril all the way up.
Oh yeah.
Oh yeah.
He got you good.
Yeah.
Wow. That's a little bit of that enter jail justice system.
And there's a lot of rules that you better learn real quick.
Wow.
That's a whole other show, but
Yeah, no, I mean, no, but that's a good little glimpse into prison
Yeah.
life. I mean, it's the F around and find out factor is really in play.
yeah. But the lower the security get, the worse the guards get.
Yeah, well, then you got that right.
Yeah. Here's the funny thing. In Walla Walla, the guards are yes, sir, no, sir. I talked to a guard who had been working there for 12 years, he had written one infraction, and it was literally he had no choice. He's like, I don't want anything to do with any of these people. Because in West Complex...
Wait. So, like, are the guards afraid of the...
Oh, yeah, no.
Really?
They treat him with respect up there. They are kind and polite.
Really?
Because up there, there's animals. Like, animals.
Wow, yeah.
You get into lower securities, people want to keep the security, they get more freedoms, things like that. And so those are where you find the bully guards.
So they call it Club Fed?
No. I've never done Fed time, so...
But I mean, I heard Fed time's easy. I had drug dealer friends back in the 90s, right?
Oh, yeah.
They told me they'd rather do
I can see
3,
that.
4, 5 years in federal than a year in local.
Yeah.
Because it's brutal.
Yeah.
So, dude, that's fascinating. I mean, there's a whole culture and power structure within the jail systems that, you don't F around. Otherwise, you're going to find out. And it ain't going to be pretty.
And you will find out on a level that when I was at West Complex, it was newer facility, which means all the groups were jostling for power. When I was there, every single day there was a fight in the pod. Every day. About
what was there racial differences?
Oh, that's all you run at that level.
So I'm guessing you've got your whites. You've got your blacks, you got your Latinos,
natives,
you got your natives.
Well, the Latinos are separated into two groups, Norteños and Sureños. And you're jumping in one of those, and those two groups are the craziest motherfuckers. Like they literally had to build a fence in between the units because they were going to war continuously back and forth.
With each other. Shut up.
They had to run separate movement times because
Dude, I am not built for prison.
Yeah, no.
I am not.
Yeah,
I am not as hard as I think I am because that shit does not sound like something I want to do.
It was not a lot of fun. I'm not gonna lie. And there was always some political something going on. But yeah, there was a fight every day in our unit, not even just like the facility, just in like my 50 bed area. Once a week, a guard would get beat up pretty good.
Really?
And about once every 2 weeks, somebody gets stabbed very severely.
Fun place.
Yeah.
Great times.
At one point, they put us all in lockdown, and they called us all individually. And they're like, look, we're not asking anybody to say anything. We're not asking anybody to tell anybody, but we just want opinions. How can we stop the level of violence in here? And I looked at these guys. I'm like, have you fucking seen these animals? I'm like, if you could, you could put everybody.
You're asking a rational question to irrational people.
Yeah, I was like, look, you could put everybody in single man cells, and you might drop the fights down to once every 3 weeks, but somebody's gonna fight themselves every 3 weeks. Like they're gonna be like, screw me, I'm beating you.
I'm beating the shit out. I'm bored. I'm gonna beat the shit out of myself. Wow,
True story.
Wow.
Yeah, it was bad.
So bringing back around to
Like they answer the homeless problem. That's where we were at.
Yeah, no, but I mean that's a good little rabbit trail there because I wanted to kind of get into where you've been and why you have the empathy you do for these people and how you believe in the penal system and that it's necessary because it ain't a fun place to be. And Ginny Burton, who we've seen we posted stuff of her on the Bellingham's Gone to Shit website.
Yeah,
she was fentanyl, or I think hers was meth. She was methed out, and the prison system was the only thing that got her straight.
And you know what? I can show you 100 more people exactly like that.
But the question is what happens when they get out? Right, that's kind of your point,
and that's what it is. You can deal with the prison system exactly like you can deal with the homeless situation, which is, I said, there's no clear path. Now
that's a problem.
If we made a clear path, plenty of beds, like I could get somebody to make a decision, drop them off, and they would have responsibilities, and they would have an ability to work through a program and get their life together, get their kids back, get everything, but they had to make steps every way. And design it all the way out to society, success rate would be higher than every program ever created.
All right, so let me ask you this then. If Jeffery Holmes got let's say whatever the money you think you needed,
Yep.
and put in charge of a system, or a minimal amount of money, and says, can you make this money work?
Yeah.
What do you think? What would be a plan that you think would be viable to deal with, not just the homeless people, but the drug addiction? Because that's the biggest issue, really.
So this is actually something I've been thinking a lot about, and I'm like, what does this program look like? You know, because, and I've had this thought stuck in my head, and everyone I've asked about it that's been through all the shit has agreed with me, which is, imagine like a tiny home village on a farm. Okay, like let's say 20 tiny homes. You go through detox, you immediately get in. Now, I need you clean enough to at least have some semblance of thought.
Right.
But this is a
cohesiveness.
this
Or
is
coherency.
let's get you medically detoxed through the pain of it. Now we just have the like sensory and emotional things to deal with.
The tertiary issues that come along with the.
But make the farm an animal rescue. See, one of the greatest things that can help you divert your focus is caring about something outside yourself.
Absolutely.
So imagine if it was a horse farm. So you show up and it's like, okay, we're going to actually give you a day. That's one thing treatments don't do. They throw you right in and they just overload you out the gate. I would give you a day. Just breathe. Have your food. Just breathe and be with yourself. Next day, I'm going to take you out and I'm going to do shit to the animals. Find one that matches you. That's your animal while you're here. Now, the thing about treatments is, yes, you're going to get up, you're going to go to classes, you're going to go and do these programs, and they're going to teach you all about how all the effects of drugs on the body and, you know, how bad drugs are. But the truth is I've never met somebody using drugs that didn't realize drugs were bad. What it really does for you is it gives you that structure, showing up, being on time, having expectations. That's actually the truth. But the classes themselves are pretty asinine, really. I mean,
meaning not the classes you would do, but the classes that currently exist.
Like,
but I'm saying in your perfect realm, you would have people, because what I'm picking up on what you're saying is you're giving them a responsibility for another life form that's not a human, because they're not ready for that. You're giving them a life form in the form of an animal that needs help, that needs care, that needs responsibility, and you're giving them the opportunity to sort of reacclimate themselves into normal life by taking care of this. Reintroduce himself, if you will. By taking care of this animal and show that, hey, I can actually do this.
And because thing will love you back. That thing will love you back.
Right.
Just because it loves you. Like, and animals don't really, for the most part, don't have ulterior motives. Like, they'll love you just because.
They're pretty simple.
Right. They just love
Feed me. Pet me.
And
I'm good.
And love me, and I love you back.
Guys are kind of like that too, women. just so you know, just feed me the other word that starts with F, and we're good. Anyway, I digress.
But no, I think you're still putting the exact same structure. You got to get up in the morning and you got to feed. You got to make sure the animal's taken care of. You're going to have to walk them around the yard. And now you're also moving your body instead of sitting in a classroom. You're getting moving, which actually helps detoxify you and do all that. And then also throw in some one-on-one counseling. So see a counselor 1 hour a day. Now, instead of having these counselors overloaded with, classes all day long, they can just do individuals every day. And now you're getting one-on-one, and then do 1 hour of class with a group so you can reacclimate to people at night. So now your day is focused on an animal that will love you. You're still getting the personal attention for your own personal issues that everybody's got, and you're getting reacclimated to people in a group setting as well. So
how long do you think this program would take?
Well, see, that's the thing, though, is this is the first step. This is they go through this program. And it's not based at the beginning. It's almost like a voluntary commitment. Like, you're not allowed to leave. This has got to be a lockdown for
sign here.
Yep, and they can leave, but it will ban you from the program for X amount of time.
Well, and then you're right back to where you.
But you know what? If you're going to make that choice and you're not going to make the steps, you're not ready, and there's nothing you can do if somebody's not ready.
No,
your
you
path
can't.
is here.
Yeah, you can't make somebody
Yep.
ready. In that case, and unfortunately, there are some people that incarceration, that's just where they're gonna die.
And you know what?
That's where they're gonna end
And
up.
it is what it is. But like,
Right.
there
No, but
is
I think that's fascinating because I think you're very fair in your approach. You're all for incarceration. You're all for boundaries. You're all for responsibility.
Yep.
You've been on the other side.
Yep.
You've seen the other side. You've lived the other side.
Correct.
And yet here you are saying, no. There needs to be accountability.
There absolutely does.
There needs to be responsibility. But instead of just saying, screw you, throw them all in jail and lock them away, what is the exit strategy?
Yeah.
For those who aren't the most demonically hardcore people who need to just go away forever.
Yeah.
That's not everybody in prison.
That's about
Like probably
0.001%.
right. The real hardcore, right.
Yeah. Like in 10 years of prison, I maybe have met 5
that just need to stay there.
that really
There's forget it. Lock the key.
maybe 10. Maybe 10 people in 10 years.
Okay.
That are like,
Well, okay, I would see that. Yeah, the hardcore guys.
Yeah.
So what you're saying is again accountability, a form of structure. The problem is, look, Jeffrey, you and I know both this. These programs are almost better via some either donation or volunteer, because as soon as you get the freaking government involved, they fuck it up.
Yep. It could be run on grants more than funding. You know what I mean?
Okay.
Especially since you're talking.
Yeah.
That was the other nice part about this is also being an animal rescue. You qualify for grants for animal rescue on top of grants for chemical dependent. Like it opens up a lot more funding options where they're really out of your pocket.
Man, I'd be for that.
Yeah.
I'd be for that because grants, private industry. Look, everybody needs to make money. I get that. Okay. But I'd rather give the money to a business that is putting it back, investing it back into this kind of a thing than government, because I'm sorry. I'm over government.
Yeah,
government does not fix anything.
No,
they fuck everything up.
We've tried it for 400 years and it's just gotten worse.
Almost 300 now of our government, our country. Yeah.
Oh yeah.
So I like that. That's a good,
And then they can graduate from here into what I call the halfway house, which is like a dorm style setting where you're now around people more, but you have expectations too. You have to get a job. You have to do this. If you're not able to get a job, you're working around the facility. So you don't even have to pay people to come work in the facility to do cleaning and things like that. You can hire the people coming out of here. And you have counselors that are tracking you. And when they feel you're eligible, then you can go to a full halfway house, like clean and sober housing, where you get your own room, but you have expectations. And the thing about it is all the way through this program, you have UAs and you have responsibilities, and we're adding to them all the way out until it's like, okay, you're ready.
There's barriers and safety nets.
Yeah,
and
because people are gonna try to take advantage, and
of course,
and at the end of the day, if you're not willing to walk the line, you're not ready for society. So
you know what, Jeffrey, I think you would be a great head of something like this. You would be mainly because you've been there and you are compassionate, but at the same time, you don't take shit.
No, and that's the thing.
You're like, I'm going to give you a chance, but you need to buck up.
Yep. And you know what? If you're not ready, then I'm sorry. Like
you're going to stay where you're at.
I get the next person in line, and they could die while waiting for you to come to your senses. And if I have met you at your level of what you're capable of to move forward, and you choose not to move, even though everyone around you says you're more than capable of making the micro next step, then you're not ready, and you need a reminder. And that's the other thing is, once you open a program like this and give the avenue, give a little time for those who want to go in, then I say make the homeless way harder to be homeless. Now, identify all the people who have the mental illnesses, the ones who just want to live that way, but and get them what they need
and of course
live.
The drug addiction.
Well, I mean, just but the ones who have the traumas and everything like that, like hook them up. Like if you legitimately have mental issues and traumas that really make it impossible
That's a
for you to
different approach.
function. Yeah, no, that's something that needs to be like those are the people that should be given a lot. if that's actually the truth. Like if they are those people and they're not
Handled with a different set of kid gloves.
yeah, like they should be getting a lot of the they should be getting the programs that they just willy-nilly pass out right now, and they're full of people that are taking advantage of like 21 North. Like let's empty 21 North and put those people in there and give them just a mild responsibility. Like, don't be high. We're gonna UA you. Cool.
Right.
You're mentally ill. And you have to go see a counselor once a week. They'll even come to you. So we're gonna make this as easy as possible. Like, let's give you help, but we're also gonna give you more resources. And then once we've weeded out the people who want to try, the ones who aren't really capable of trying, that leaves the problem group. Now we know which one's the target for the problem, and then we can make it really uncomfortable for those people, because then hopefully they'll shift to one of the other groups or the other group of, hey, you know what? I'm not getting it like I used to, man, but I do have an avenue over here I can jump into. Maybe I should try.
Well, Jeffrey, I'm fascinated by this topic and by you as a person, and as I've got to know you, because I appreciate that you and I, and we have very few disagreements. There's a few things we disagree on, but for the most part, we agree on a lot. We just have different roads to get there.
Yeah.
And that's why I liked exploring this, because look, man, I've never been in jail. But I want to talk to somebody who's come out on the other side and said, no, I needed that. Unfortunately, I needed that. Yeah. It's the guy that goes, oh, you know, whatever. And it's like, well, then you need to go back and you need to go back again until you finally get it. And if you don't, well, then maybe you need to stay in jail. And there's just some people out there, I'm sorry, they're just not redeemable. But there are those who are, that are misunderstood. And I think, you know, there's people like you who are out there trying to do the right thing. I see you out there. I see your Facebook feeds. You're doing the stuff that a lot of us think about, but we never get around to. You're feeding the homeless. You're out there in the cold, the rain. You're interacting with them. You're actually experiencing and seeing. I mean, look, it's easy for me to say the homeless are a problem. And you wouldn't disagree. They are. Yeah. They're a problem. Okay. But the question is why and what do we do about it? And I personally blame government. A lot of what you've said, your program idea could have been implemented. I'll pay for that. I'll pay for that for my tax dollars. If we get the right leadership in to say, yeah, let's do this. Let's get these people, you know, look, it's either jail, homelessness, or death, really.
I mean, I don't know why we did away with giving people the option first-time offenders to go into the military. That was
well, our military right now is run by a bunch of kooks.
I know,
that's a whole nother topic. But originally, yeah, I get your point.
At the same time, like, man, it really would have saved me a lot of headache if I had been given that option. I would have taken it.
Look, you know, you want an out, go fight for your country.
Yeah, and now they're like, oh, now you're in trouble. We're not going to even let you go if you want to go after you're out.
Well, there used to be a lot of guys. There's stories of guys who were derelicts, you know, back in the 40s and that went into the military and it straightened them out.
Yeah, and that was actually way more the norm because it was a forced structure.
Because back then the military didn't F around.
Yeah, true.
They owned you.
Yeah, they really did.
And you told the line or it was hell.
Fun tattoo fact. You know that they used to actually promote soldiers to get tattoos?
Really?
Yep. Because it made them easier to spot if they went AWOL.
No kidding. I didn't know that. Because I seen so many soldiers that get some dumb tattoo.
Yep.
Just anything, right?
Yep. Now it's like, oh, you can't have it below this level or you can't.
Interesting.
Yeah, but before, like they used to be like, you know, help tattoo shops open right outside bases.
To identify them. Interesting. I never knew that. That's interesting.
Yeah.
Wow. Fun fact. Well, man, dude, this has been very enlightening. Great topic. Great conversation. I've learned a lot just sitting here talking to you about it. I think you got some great ideas. I appreciate what you're doing. You're out there on the streets. Well,
there's a lot of us doing
I'm not doing crap. I'm just a big mouth that does the interviews so you all can see what's going on.
I'm going to take you out there and we're going to go for a walk back.
Yeah, no, I need to do it. I just need to get my shoulder healed because I just got over rotator cuff surgery, and in case I need to do some like karate shit or
you
something.
know, the most dangerous day I've spent out there was the day it snowed, and it was because I about fell down and
froze
busted
your ass
my. No,
off.
I busted my. I about fell and busted my ass about 16 times. But other than that, I've been back in there at 4 o'clock in the morning.
No, I'd
never
love
had
to
a
go
problem.
back there and document a little bit. And I've seen some of the other documentation, and it's just interesting what you say about the layers and the actual percentage that's doing the crime, the difference between the drugs. And although, we both would agree that the drugs play into a lot of the mental illness.
Very much so.
Yeah, which is unfortunate. But we've got to stop the open borders. We've got to stop.
We got to stop coddling the fentanyl, the drug epidemic. And,
get rid of these. You got these drug dealers just pouring through.
Yeah.
I mean, you got to cut off the chain of supply. And right now, that's a huge issue.
Yeah, and the problem is we make money off of having drugs in this country.
Oh, of course.
Yeah, like
somebody's getting paid off, man.
No, it's more than that. It's like even enforcing drug enforcement, like all the programs that go into that. Guess what? People are making money off all the equipment they buy and paying the officer. Like there are so many ways it generates revenue from an overhead model that come on, you're a bit of, I'm not even gonna call it conspiracy theorist anymore. You're a bit of a theorist with.
I'm a theorist. Yeah. Today's conspiracy is tomorrow's history.
I mean,
Really.
how many people have come forward and spoke up about the CIA running the cocaine epidemic in the 80s and 90s?
Oh, dude, the CIA's behind so much. I mean, look, we finally know that they killed JFK. I mean, that's not even an issue. How long we suspected it, now we know.
Yeah.
And you look at just a digression here, the Afghanistan war. That whole thing was about drugs and sex trafficking.
Of course.
And so the CIA looks the other way a lot and allows certain things to get information, right? They'll
CIA
even
never looks away at all. We look away while the CIA does
what I'm
it
saying
does.
is I'm giving generously. They say, yeah, we'll let you sex traffic, we'll let you do these drugs. You give us information about these bad guys over here. So they're just doing dirty dealings to uncover other dirty dealings, and it really
chess.
solves. It's chess, exactly, and we're paying for that, which is why one of my shorts I just put out the other day about cognitive dissonance. And
By the way, we're gonna edit this out because I don't need to commit suicide by shooting myself in the back of the head with a 12
By the
gauge.
way, yes, yeah, that'd be interesting to see you commit suicide by shooting yourself in the back of the head with the 12 gauge, which, by the way, happened.
Yeah,
I forget the guy who it was, but yeah,
it was connected to the Intons.
Well, just so you know, I'm not suicidal.
No, I am not suicidal at all either, in not any way, shape, or form.
Well, Jeffrey, man, I tell you what, brother. I mean, I think that's a good spot to end. It's been a pleasure talking to you again. I think this has been very informative because I think people need to understand. Look, the homeless is a problem.
Yep.
A good thing that I've seen is we have a new mayor in Bellingham.
Yep.
And at least on the surface, from what she said, appears to be taking this seriously. I've heard people around town saying, look, there's some things being cleaned up. I don't know if that's part of her responsibility or not of what she's done, but she said she's going to, we're going to deal with the homeless. We're going to, have more police presence. I'm hoping that's true. I'm hoping that she's, a common sense Democrat. It's yet to be seen. So far, I've seen some positive things. But what were you going to say?
Well, I will tell you, I have this really bad habit of I grew up in fuck around and find out, and I will create situations that will prove or disprove how well she actually cares. Like now that they've started coming after people for trying to solve the problem, I will make very public situations created where she will tell her own story, and I hope you're right. But
I don't know.
yeah,
I don't know.
And like
I'm giving her the benefit
I
of the
give
doubt.
everybody a benefit of the doubt
For right now.
And you know what? We'll see how she plays out. And
I think she needs to talk to people like you in the community.
Well, I went out and spoke to the city council when she was there, and I mentioned the fact that they came after my friend for helping, and I ended with one statement. We're not trying to pick a war with the city. We want to work with you to make this better.
Right.
If you're going to work with us, please do, because we have the same goal. Don't pick a fight.
Don't use lawfare against you. And
we're not dumb.
Keep the politics out. Or
you can bring politics in, but I'll make that cost you.
well, that's what I'm saying is be careful, Mayor, because you bring politics into it, it's going to bite you. You know, Seth Fleetwood had opportunities to change things, and he didn't do it in time.
At the end of the day, though, like, we'll make things better, and that'll be the best political stance you'll ever take. If people want to play dirty, we can make this messy.
Well, we live in a time and age where that stuff gets out pretty quick. So, you know, if she's serious about it, hopefully she'll work with you, work with the community, and leave the constituents out of it. Yeah. Well, I think, like I said, it's yet to be seen. I've seen some positive things. I've heard some positive things.
No, she sounded really great.
On the other side of the political spectrum from me, but I don't care. So long as she's doing the right thing, we can work together.
Yeah, and that's what it all comes down to. Let's work together and let's make things better.
Right.
Leave the agendas and the backroom stuff that we can all clearly see out of it, because we're going to make this better one way or another. And with your help, this will be real easy, and everybody wins, and the community's better. And
well, let's get back. Let's get back to common sense, and let's work on the things that we can work on together, and leave the other garbage out of it.
Yep. And
I think we all agree that there's a problem in Bellingham, and clearly that problem has gotten out of control. Whether or not it's just been disregarded, or it's laziness, or it's carelessness politically. You know, I mean, ridiculous things like no pursuit laws, which is a state thing. That's, I mean, come on, guys, ridiculous. It hasn't worked. It's a big big green flag to the criminals. Hey, we can, and now, of course, what are they doing? They're changing it back. Oh, imagine that. Duh. I mean, and then doing drugs on the street. Oh, you know, you only stole $900, so we're not going to prosecute you. I mean, we need to get back to the law is the law, obeying the law, prosecuting the law, enforcing the law. And if we get back to those common sense principles, that's a good start. And then you have the punitive measures in place to back you when it gets to time to do the, you know, reformation of a person, of a human being. So anyway, well, again, I think, you know, ultimately at the end of the day, the homeless situation can be fixed. It can be rectified. In Bellingham, there's a lot of things that can be fixed. If we just get back to good old-fashioned common sense principles, good old-fashioned American principles, and stop this woke, no harm garbage that gives everything over to the criminals. You know, I mean, look,
literally everything comes down to is a helping versus enabling. And that line has been blurred beyond anything. Okay, like if you're enabling somebody, I mean, you might as well be buying their drugs for them.
Absolutely.
But at the other side of that, people struggling should be able to get help as long as it never crosses that enabling line. And as long as that line is efficient, is the only way I can put it, then things will always get better.
Jeffrey, I think that's a good segue to end it right there. Let's get back to common sense principles, and instead of enabling, say it again.
Get to helping and leave enabling alone.
Instead of stop enabling, let's start helping.
Yeah.
I like that. All right. Well, ladies and gentlemen, Jeffery Holmes, Kalamaka Tattoo, and also kind of a community activist, good Samaritan, in my opinion, who believes in punitive measures, accountability, but also believes in compassion for those who need it. And my drink's empty, but anyway, cheers, Jeffrey.
Yeah.
And guys, thanks for listening. Until next time, I'm Mark Urban, the Urban Outcast, and we'll see you again soon. Take care.
Bye.